Hey everyone, welcome back to Science by Asha Mathpal. In this session, I am going to continue with the chapter 1 of class 8 NCERT book, that is crop production and management. So let's begin today's session. In my previous session, we have already discussed the basic practices of the crop production. Okay, these are basically the activities which are taken up by the farmer for the production of the crop, and then later on how to store it and to supply it to the market. Now in this basic practices of the crop production, we have already understood till the topic of the sowing. Right, now we will be continuing with the third point, that is adding manure and fertilizer. So let us begin with adding manure and fertilizers. Now what are basically manure and fertilizers? If you see the last two steps of the basic practices of the crop production and management, first one was when we were making the soil ready to accept the seeds in them. Okay, so you are making the base there. Then second point was sowing, that is you are putting the seeds, and we have already understood that how much it is important to sow the seeds at the right distance and at the right depth. Okay, now after putting the seeds, what can be the next step? After putting seeds, you want the seeds to give plant, a new plant, right? Now to get this new plant, you will have to give water and food to it. Now here food means adding the nutrients to the soil. Now how we are going to add nutrient to the soil? We will be adding the nutrient to the soil by adding manure and fertilizers in the field or in the soil. So these are basically what? These are the substances which are added to the soil in the form of nutrients for the healthy growth of the plant. And time to time we will have to add the manure and the fertilizers. Now why there is a need to add these manure and fertilizers to the field or to the soil? Now see, sometimes due to the continuous cultivation of crop, the soil becomes deficient in one or more than one type of nutrient. Suppose this is the field. This is the field. Now in this field, in the first season, you are growing, let us say, wheat. Okay, after some time you will harvest the wheat, and immediately after wheat you are growing paddy or rice, let us say. Okay, and if you are continuing this practice, that one after the another you are growing crops over the same piece of land, then what happens? At some point of time, this land will become deficient. It will become deficient in one nutrient, either any one type of nutrient, let us say nitrogen, or more than one type of nutrient. It will become deficient, that is the soil will not have the proper amount of nutrients in them. And if in such kind of soil, if you will grow again a new type of crop, then that particular crop plants will be weak because they are not getting the proper nutrient. Okay, so continuous cultivation of the crop makes the soil poor in the nutrient. And as we know that what? That the soil supplies mineral and nutrients to the crop plant. If continuous cultivation is done season after season, year after year, then the soil becomes deficient in these nutrients. Such kind of conditions give rise to the weak plants and the poor yield, that is the output will be very less. Therefore, farmers are advised to add manure or fertilizers to replenish the field or the soil with the lost nutrients. Now, let us understand more about the manure and fertilizer. Now, manure is an organic substance, that is, it is obtained from plants and animals. It is obtained from plants and animals. Now, what happens is this, that the plant or the animal waste or dead or decaying parts, they are collected and they are put inside a pit, and where they are left for decomposition. This decomposition is done by microbes. Okay, This decomposition is done by microbes. Microbes are generally here bacteria we consider, okay, and then these bacteria act upon the dead and the decaying matter or the waste, and they bring back the nutrients to the soil in the form of manure. Sometimes what we see that we also add, like in some places farmers also add earthworms, red earthworms along with this, and then they make the vermicompost. So basically manure are the organic material and they are obtained from the decomposition of plant and animal waste. Now manure is generally very much dense in nature, and it is dark brown to black in color like this. Okay, this manure is very much good for the soil because it helps in the water holding capacity of the soil. When manure is mixed with the soil, it helps in holding the water for little more time. Okay, so it makes the soil more rich in the moisture. Then it also makes the soil porous, so it helps in the exchange of the gases, that is among the soil particles there will be spaces, and therefore the root will get the proper spaces to grow and for the exchange of gases. Then it increases the number of the friendly microbes like bacteria or any another category of the insects or the animals, because it is itself organic in nature, so it is not killing the organisms which are living in that particular type of soil. Then it also helps in improving the texture of the soil, that is the basic look of the soil and the quality of the soil. It always makes it good. On the other hand, fertilizers are chemicals, okay, and they are made in factories, they are man-made. Okay, so they are man-made and they are made in factories basically, and since they are man-made, they are artificial, so we always look for the nutrients in which the soil is deficient mostly. So when we are making a fertilizer, we will keep all these things in the mind, and that is why we say that they are rich in a particular type of nutrient. They are rich in a particular type of nutrient. That is whether we are making a like you in the market also we are having NPK. Okay, NPK means a fertilizer which is rich in nitrogen. N stands for nitrogen here. Okay, P stands here for phosphorus, and K stands for potassium. Now see here, in this case we are making a fertilizer which gives only 3 nutrients to the soil, that is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. So it is rich in only 3 type of nutrient and not in all the nutrients. On the other hand, in the case of the manure, manure is not specific in any one kind of the nutrient. Manure is having all the nutrients in them, but they are not present in the equal amount, neither they are rich in only one type of nutrient in it. On the other hand, fertilizers are always rich in one or more than one, but it is a combination basically. So here NPK is having nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. If you see other example, they are urea, it is rich in urea, then ammonium sulfate, ammonia, superphosphate, then we are having potash. So fertilizers are chemical in nature, they are made in the factories, they are artificially, they are man-made. Now let us see much more differences between these two, the manure and the fertilizers. Now some of the differences are there in the NCERT book itself. More or less they are quite similar. Fertilizers are inorganic substance, that is they are chemical, they are not organic in nature, they are not obtained from the plant or animal, or in total you can say they are not obtained from the living beings. On the other hand, manure are organic substances, that is they are obtained from the plants and the animals. Then second point, it is obtained by the chemical substances, that is the chemicals are used to make them basically. They are obtained from the decomposition of the natural things like cattle dung, human waste, plant residue. Plant residue means fallen leaf or the fruit or the flower or twig, anything which is associated with the plant. Then the fertilizers are made in factories, manure are made in fields. Manure does not provide humus to the soil because again humus is obtained from the dead and decaying organic matter. On the other hand, manure of course provides humus to the soil. Nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium are large in amount in the fertilizers, but they are not found in large amount in case of the manure, because I have told you they are obtained from the dead and decaying organic matter, so they are rich in most of the nutrient, but we can't say that this particular nutrient is present in a very high amount in them. Then excessive use of it has made the soil less fertile. In case of the fertilizers, when we are putting it in excess amount, okay, then what we see that the texture of the soil changes and it also causes the soil pollution. I will explain this point. Now see, suppose there is a field, this one, okay, and you are growing crops here. Now first of all, before putting fertilizers in the field, the proper knowledge is also very much important, because one should not put the fertilizers in a very large amount. Okay, so that kind of information should be there in the farmers to avoid such kind of condition that is making the soil less fertile or causing the soil pollution or the water pollution. Now suppose if we are putting too much of the fertilizer in the field, okay, not having the proper knowledge, then what will happen? This fertilizer with time will keep on getting collected on this field. Now ultimately fertilizer is what? It is a chemical, right? Now if it is a chemical, what will happen? If we are adding it, of course with time this chemical will change the quality of soil or the texture of the soil. So it will change the quality or the texture of the soil with time. Even it can also kill the microorganisms, that is the microbes and earthworms, okay, because they are chemical in nature. Now apart from this, another problem is this: suppose after adding the fertilizer, the farmer is adding too much of the water in the field, or the water is left open by chance, what will happen then? Then water will flow along with the fertilizer and they can collect in nearby ponds, okay, or any water body. So this water which is coming, it will collect in the nearby water body. It can be a pond or anything else. Then what will happen? This water inside the pond will become polluted, okay, it will become rich in that particular fertilizer, and which will cause the death or killing of the aquatic plants and animals. Like you can say that you will see the death of the fishes or any other kind of a particular animal which is found in that particular pond. And we can also see excessive growth of the weeds in the pond, okay, which is also not good. So in this way, adding of too much of the chemical in the form of the fertilizer in the field not only make the soil less fertile, it can also kill the microorganism or the earthworms which are found in the soil. And if this fertilizer is given too much of the water, it can be either by leaving the pipe open, or it can be due to the high rainfall. Then this water will collect in the nearby water body and it will pollute it, okay, and this also results in the death or the killing of the aquatic animals. And it can also be seen in the form of the excessive growth of the weeds in the pond, Okay, now such kind of the condition does not arise in the case of the excessive use of the manure even. Okay, that is excessive use of it does not make the soil less fertile. Then last point, this I have already explained that how the fertilizers are causing the water pollution, and here they are not causing the water pollution. That is, manure does not cause water pollution. On the other hand, it improves gives a good quality of the soil, and it helps in the water retention ability of the soil. Apart from this, you can also add one more point here, that they are easy to transport. Fertilizers, they are easy to transport. They are easy to transport because see, they get packed inside the factories, and so they can be easily transported in truck. On the other hand, they are made in field, okay, and they are bulky in nature. They are bulky in nature. Okay, so their transportation is little difficult. Okay, so they are basically bulky in nature, so their transportation is difficult. Okay, this point you can also add in this difference. Their transportation is difficult. Okay, now let us move to the next slide. Okay, now we have seen that why there is a need to add manure on the fertilizer in the field, and there I have explained you that sometimes farmers are growing crop of there is a regular growing of the crop season after season, year after year, and they never leave the field uncultivated. Okay, and that is why we see that the soil become deficient. Okay, now another thing which causes the deficiency of the nutrient in the soil is crop rotation. Okay, crop rotation is also that kind of technique which is a result, not it is like that it makes the soil deficient, sorry. Crop rotation is a technique where we try to replenish the soil. Okay, how? Like we have already discussed that when we are growing crop in every season, and there is a continuous cultivation of the crop in the field, then at some point of time the soil become deficient. Now solution to it is the crop rotation. Crop rotation, it is the practice of growing a series of different types of the crop in the same area in sequential seasons. That is basically what is there in this case. What we see is this, that just a minute, yes. So what we do, that we grow plant in the same field season after season, but there are certain things which are kept in mind here. Okay, so what we do, that suppose in one season we are growing wheat. Okay, in one season, let us say in first season, that is during the winters, and after that we will try to grow legume. Okay, why? Legume means that a crop, or you can say leguminous crop simply here. Leguminous crops, for example, if you see pea, it is a popular leguminous crop, or gram, that is chana. Okay, if you observe their roots are having small nodules in them like this. Okay, there are root nodules. Okay, these are called as root nodules. Now if we observe these root nodules under the microscope, or if you see a section of the root nodules in the microscope, you will see that inside the root nodules there is a bacteria, okay, which is called as rhizobium. It lives. Okay, Now this rhizobium bacteria helps in capturing the nitrogen. It helps in capturing the nitrogen. In this way, it makes the soil rich in nitrogen. It makes the soil rich in nitrogen. That is why if we are growing legume, meaning to say that we are trying to fix or we are trying to make soil rich in nitrogen content. So if wheat is taking too much of the nitrogen from the soil, then in the next season the lost N2 will be fixed by the legume, because the roots of the leguminous plants are able to fix the atmospheric nitrogen in the soil. Okay, that is why I have written here a traditional element of crop rotation is the replenishment of nitrogen through the use of green manure in sequence with the cereal and the other crops. And there are various types of the crop rotation also, but this is one of the most basic examples. Now let us start with the next basic practice, that is irrigation. So once you have made the field ready, after that you have added the seeds. Now you have given food to the seeds. Now the seeds also need water for their complete growth and development. So for that, what we do, we give water to the field at regular intervals of time. This word regular interval is very much important here. Okay, regular interval means that there is a fixed time period after which the field is again supplied with water. It is not like that that from the morning till the evening you are giving water to the field. Watering the field, that is irrigation, always depends upon, number one, it depends upon nature of soil, that what kind of soil is there. Okay, because we know that there are certain soil which hold water for a very long time. There are certain types of the crop which does not hold water for a very long time. Second, it also differs from crop to crop. Okay, right, there are certain crops which needs higher amount of water, there are certain which needs very less amount of water, and it also depends from season to season also, you can say in some cases. Okay, so basically you just cannot leave the pipe open or anything like any kind of supply of water should not be continuous. It should always takes place at regular intervals of time, that is there is a gap of 9 to 10 hours or 7 to 8 hours. It again depends from crop to crop and from like on the nature of soil. So the supply of water to the crops at regular interval of time is called as irrigation. Okay, so from where we are getting this water, that becomes the source of irrigation. So these are the well, tube wells, then we are having pond, lake, nib, rivers, dams and canals, right? Now what are the traditional methods of irrigation? Traditional methods of irrigation were used in earlier days, basically because they were less efficient, and in such kind of technique either the human is involved or the animals were there, which helps in lifting up of the water. Okay, but nowadays we are seeing the modern ways of irrigation or the modern techniques are more popular in the field. Now when we talk about the traditional methods of irrigation, water available in well, lakes and canal is lifted up by different methods in different regions, and their names are moat, that is the pulley system, that is this pulley is there. Okay, so in a well we put a bucket or any kind of container and it goes inside the well, and through the pulley we used to take it out. Okay, then we are having the chain pump, then we are having dhekli, rahat, which is also called as the lever system. These methods were cheaper but they were less efficient because generally human or animals were involved, and we are not machine, living beings are not machines basically, so we get tired also in this whole process, right? So now we will see the modern techniques of the irrigation which are more popular nowadays. Okay, they help in saving the water and economically they are very efficient, right? Now they are of two types, one is called as the sprinkler irrigation and the one is called as the drip irrigation. We will start with the sprinkler irrigation. Now sprinkler irrigation, as its name is telling, it helps in sprinkling the water. Now here in this diagram, if you see, there is a water source. The water source can be a water body or it can be a tank also. So from this water body there is a pump, right? So from this pump a lot number of pipes are spread into the field, and at regular intervals the pipes are having a perpendicular end to them, like this here. These are the pipes, okay? The 90-degree angle is there, right? So there are perpendicular pipes which are attached to the main pipeline. Now at the top of these perpendicular pipe there is a nozzle. This is a nozzle at the top. So what happens when you are switching on the pump? When the pump is switched on, okay, it will take the water from the field. Water will enter in the main pipeline, and from the main pipeline it will move into the branch pipeline. Now when the water is coming under the branch pipeline, it comes with a very high pressure. So when the water with the high pressure jumps this distance, okay, this vertical distance, what happens? It will hit the nozzle. It will hit the nozzle like this from the bottom, and as it will hit the nozzle, it will start rotating. And in this way it will keep on spreading water into the nearby area, right? So this is the sprinkler irrigation. Now this kind of technique is very good in the case of the uneven land, okay, because if on the uneven land, like in this kind of land, if you are giving water, then all the areas will not get the equal amount of water, right? But if you are putting the sprinkler there, then what will happen? It will distribute the water equally in all the directions of this unequal land, and it is one of the best technique for the lawns and for the coffee plantation and several other crops. So the same points I have mentioned here, that from the main pipeline there are perpendicular pipes having a rotating nozzle on the top. When water is allowed to pass through the main pipeline with under pressure, with the help of a pump, it escapes from the rotating nozzle and water gets sprinkled on the crop as if it is raining. This is done at regular intervals, and this method is very good for the uneven land, right? Now let us see the drip irrigation. In the drip irrigation method, okay, the water falls drop by drop. Okay, this is a drip irrigation picture. Now as the name is there, drip irrigation, drip means drop by drop. So here what is done, that from the main tank basically we are having the main pipeline. This pipeline is having the pipes, okay, in all the directions in the field. Now this main pipeline is having small pores to it. Okay, so when the water comes through this pump from the water tank and it enters inside this pipeline, then from these holes the water comes out drop by drop directly at the roots of the plants. Okay, directly at the roots of the plant or near to the roots of the plant. So in this kind of technique, the water does not get wasted at all. Okay, drop by drop they fall near to the root, and in this way the root keeps on getting water. And again, this is also done at regular intervals of time. So the water will not get wasted in this technique, and it is one of the highly efficient techniques which is taken up by a lot of fruit plants, okay, and in the gardens also we see this kind of technique. Okay, so the same thing is written here also. In this system, water falls drop by drop directly near the roots at regular interval. In this system, water is not wasted at all. It is a boon in the regions where water availability is poor. It is one of the best technique for watering the fruit plants, gardens and the trees. Now coming to today's last topic, why irrigation is the most important step. Okay, irrigation is one of the most essential steps because after sowing, if you will not give water to it, okay, then the seeds will not be able to germinate, right? The seeds need water for it germination. Then we are seeing nutrient gets dissolved in water and transported to the parts of the plant, okay, with the help of the water. When water reaches to the soil, suppose this is the soil and this is one plant, its root I'm drawing as such. If you are giving water, okay, nutrients are present in the soil, nutrients are there in the soil, but they will mix with the water, and through the root here it will enter the root, and then after that it will enter inside the plant. So in this way it will get water. Then water also protects the crop from frost and the hot air currents. That is, there is a, like in excessive winters also they will get sufficient amount of water, and also during the hot air currents, that is during the extreme summers also they need water, okay, otherwise they will die. So irrigation is definitely one of the most important steps in the practices of the crop production. Right, now with this topic I am ending today's session. Hope that you are liking my session. Kindly subscribe and share among your friends and family. I will be meeting you in my next session. Thank you. Bye bye.